Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Eurofiber DCspine webinar. My name is Daniel de Bont, and within Eurofiber Belgium, I'm responsible for the partner channel and the partner strategy. Today, we were going to talk about flexible and future-proof interconnectivity solutions. And therefore, the further rollout of DCspine platform in Belgium will, on top of our current Eurofiber product portfolio of fiber connectivity, provide an enormous added value for our partners and clients. I'm therefore very pleased to introduce you to the DCspine solutions together with Jan-Michiel Berkel. And in addition, Marvin Kooi of Media Choice will explain on the basis of their own use case why Media Choice choose Eurofiber DCspine as a key enabler for their connectivity needs. We want to keep this session as interactive as possible, so please feel free to submit your questions via the chat. I would also like to mention that we are organizing this webinar in accordance with the applicable corona measures. But before handing over to Jan-Michiel, let me briefly introduce Eurofiber. Eurofiber is today already present in 4 countries: the Netherlands, Benelux, France, and Germany. Our network already consists of approximately 40,000 kilometers of fiber optic infrastructure, making us the largest open network provider in the Benelux. This is what makes the Eurofiber Group what it is today. First of all, our asset. So our business model is built on putting as much fiber into the ground as possible and to make our fiber network denser in each country. You can skip to the next slide, please. We are a horizontal player. Our core is offering fiber connectivity. It is our partners who will market their own solutions on top of it. And we are open in all dimensions, meaning that we are accessible for end users, carriers, business, and wholesale partners. And last but not least, our partner imperative. We want to offer end users a non-stop solution via and also together with our partner channel. And I would like to hand over the floor to Jan-Michiel Berkel, Director of DCspine.
So good morning, everybody. I didn't hear the introduction of Daniel because I'm in a different location than him. So I'm Jan-Michiel Berkel. I'm the Managing Director of Eurofiber DCspine. Some will know me because we already had some contact with different Belgian customers. And I will start to explain a bit more about DCspine and DCspine in Belgium. So let's get into the content. So DCspine offers a flexible data center connectivity platform. 4 years ago, we established that platform that is really a software-defined platform with connectivity on demand. We have different types of connectivity that we offer. So first of all, we have the regular layer 2 connectivity, providing the ability to connect easily between data centers. In addition to that, we have more that makes it more easy to connect to different types of services. So first of all, there's interconnection, and that interconnection makes it easy to connect from one customer on our network to another customer without a need to expand with equipment to a new data center. So it works with a key, and you can easily hand over that key to your partner, your customer, or a service provider. And that can enter that key and establish connectivity directly. And then last of all, we have direct connectivity towards the internet, and very important towards the big public cloud suppliers. So to Azure, AWS, Google, and also a lot of smaller cloud platforms. Then what is different about DCspine platform to other types of connectivity? First of all, you have quick access to our experts. That remains a very important basis of DCspine, as we need a very personal relation with IT providers, and also that comes to life when we go to Marvin from Media Choice, how that works in practice. That reliable basis, that is also very fundamental to this new platform. But then we have different things that are different than existing connectivity solutions that we know. We have a very innovative way to bring connectivity live as you configure it via our online portal, which happens within 1 minute. So Marvin will also go into this very fast delivery, because that makes a difference when issues arise with existing connectivity solutions. Stay in control. You will be able, so it will be useful to go back to the previous slide. Keep control of your connections in our online portal is really important. You can add connections, you can change them, you can find out if they're online or if they're disconnected. So it's important. So I'm waiting for the slides to come back to finish my story there. I think I have to wait for a few seconds, otherwise I'll go back. I go on to the slide. Yes. So flexibility is another element that is very important. So be flexible, as we don't have any fixed contract terms, and we have the online portal, so you can change any minute if you have more bandwidth need, if you don't need the connection, or you need to have a new connection. You can all do that with flexible contracts and online management in the portal. Be agile, so we have a very high capacity network that provides the ability to scale up fast if you need. And you have access to a very valuable partner ecosystem. So we have a lot of IT companies, cloud providers, local ISPs, and media companies. So that all adds to have an ecosystem that's not only there, but also is there in a physical way to interconnect directly. And this is very future-proof. So what we like to offer with DCspine is a future-proof platform where you connect to, but that you can use as a basis to grow in the future yourself. What is the different type of use cases that we have with our customers? Connecting new customers is a very important element. Connecting new locations, mostly on backbone, but you can also think of acquisitions that you do and want to connect to your own network. Create redundancy, make resilience in the network by not only having dark fiber or wavelength services, but being able to create redundancy by adding DCspine to it. You can easily facilitate data center migrations or a longer-term transformation path in which you phase out all data centers and add new data centers or public cloud to your network. Interconnect partners, connect to local cloud providers or to the big public cloud providers like Azure and AWS. And last of all, internet and IP transit, that remains very important in the new connectivity world. If you then look to the footprint, is very dense in the Netherlands. We have a quick growing customer base there, and we will focus on the Netherlands. But what we will do now, and that's what shows up in the next slide, is that we will grow our network in Belgium. So 2 years ago, we already started with 2 key interconnection hubs in Brussels. So being Interaction and LCL data center there. So these are, I think, the important connection points. There will appear more. There are important data center developments going on in Belgium. We added different locations in Antwerp and also in the area of Brussels and Leuven, being Unix data centers. And we established direct connections to Lille, to Amsterdam, and to Frankfurt, which are all important to Belgium customers to have access to that global ecosystem. So we have the basis, and we will grow that in the next year, so that the offering for you as a Belgium customer, a Belgium provider of services and connectivity, will be more than it is. Then a very brief look to a selection of customers. You see very large global customers. You see internet exchanges. You see local IT providers that are operating in Belgium, but also that are operating cross-border between Belgium and the Netherlands, and pure Dutch providers. And the ambition of us is to create a much more meaningful customer base in Belgium, because we really will focus on that in-country connectivity need in Belgium, together with the team of Daniel. So we will now hand over to Marvin to get more feeling for how it is as a customer of DCspine.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction, Jan-Michiel. It's a very interesting story, and hopefully we can add some more information today, also for the customers and potential customers of DCspine Eurofiber. I'm Marvin Kooi. I'm the CDO of MediaChoice Group of Companies. If you want to contact me, you'll see the details on the screen. Also in the end will appear again. Yeah, let's talk about more about MediaChoice itself. Hopefully we can do a quick introduction. We have a really can-do mentality, and we don't really like to talk about ourselves. But yeah, today you asked me to tell about us, so yeah, that's about it. That's why we're going to tell more about MediaChoice Group of Companies. Yeah, the MediaChoice Group of Companies, we have a very wide and extensive part of our services, what we offer to our customers in the areas of facility, TV production facilities, broadcast, non-broadcast, OTT services, and even consultancy services, because we also have a lot of experience in the building up TV stations, TV channels. That's why we also offer consultancy services there. We have different brands, and those brands are of different labels, like, and MediaChoice itself is the most important one, the common one. We're also using Film Partners and Maxsuccess as a label in our group of companies, but most of the people know us from the MediaChoice brand itself. So yeah, let's talk more about what we do. So yeah, what we do, we are located in different locations in Hilversum, and also in the other locations, Rotterdam, The Hague area, and also in the Utrecht area. There are separate divisions. We have our production facilities department in Hilversum area. The media services department is really located in those locations in Rotterdam, The Hague, and Utrecht. From the production facility area, we do a lot of stuff in the area of production, TV production facilities, production workflow assistance, and we even help with TV formats and concepting and design. What's more about later, which kind of customers, of course, we work for. In the media services department, we do a lot of content management services, content processing, the distribution of channels. So of course there comes in Eurofiber and DCspine, and the distribution services, so like channel store services to operators, for example. We offer channel playout service. Localization is very important to us. We are one of the most expertise companies in localization, like ad insertion to make a different version of a TV channel. Monetization is very important, of course, because everybody wants to earn money and invest in new technologies like DCspine Eurofiber, for example. So yeah, the monetization is important, and yeah, last but not least, web and app development. So even that is important to the end user nowadays, especially in the OTT area, OTT services, online services. Yeah, and of course, your channels is the last division of media services, where we offer consultancy service to TV stations. So basically, there's a lot of stuff what we do. So yeah, I can imagine that's a lot to process. So that's why I said it's a really wide and extensive offer of services. What's important to us in our vision is that we are really targeting on the 360 degrees services. So that's why we call our services under a label of Quattro 90, 4x90. With some creation part, we have a managed part of our services, a published one, and the monetization part. Basically, those 4 areas, they're together are the 360 degrees, where a lot of media companies or brand content owners are really focusing on to bring their content to the end user or to their customers. So we made a special product for that. That's Quattro 90. There's our own all-round 360 degrees media ecosystem where you can manage all those services. We also made a different overview and a workflow perspective, where you see everything from the production area from the left, so you're horizontally presented until the end, the advertising monetization. So basically those 4 areas of field areas of production, manage, publish, and monetization. You see this overview because everybody wants to produce content, like this webinar. You're making content, could be live, could be file-based or whatsoever. And then you need to process things, and then in the end, when you want to distribute it out, you need a network for that. So that's why we go to that direction. And then of course you want to earn some money. So that's why from a workflow perspective, we also present it this way. In which kind of business sectors we are active? In 7 business sectors. The local broadcasters, and in the Benelux market, we are the biggest one. We have more than 120 local broadcasters. They are part of the Media Choice local media center. We are focusing on the international and the national broadcasters, mostly like contribution distribution services, so picking up signals, process them, and deliver them, and even channel playout services, as mentioned before. The cable telco operators. We have a lot of direct connections to, I believe in the Benelux, more than 20 direct connections, where we can deliver the TV channels, radio stations, and even OTT services. So a lot of telco operators are a customer, or they will get our signals via our channel store solution, and even our app store services, where we can provide a complete app store solution for them. So that's new. The platform operators. Platform operators are more the brand content rights holders. They want to distribute content to the end user, for example. Then we also offer them a complete end-to-end OTT solution, multi-screens like a Ziggo Go, or in this area over here, or other on-the-go kind of OTT solutions. So we even offer the whole end-to-end solution. The content rights holders are important to us because they have the content and the rights, and they also want to go directly, mostly to the end users. Sometimes they only want to add the content to VOD platforms like an Amazon Prime or iTunes or that kind of VOD environment. So we even deliver those content to those platforms. The broadcasters are important business sector to us, more in the high-end digital signage, channel playout for them. So the most common one is the most important one. Everybody knows is of course Red Bull. They are the biggest brand in sports, and also do a lot of stuff around them. But Red Bulls, I think, is the best example of focusing on the broadcasting experience. The last one, but not least one, is the production companies. We offer a lot of workflow and production solutions, mostly internationally, not really in the Benelux itself. Okay, well, we have one exception. This year in January, we had the Big Brother TV show on RTL, and even in Belgium on the SBS channels. And we offered all those kind of cameras and TV production facilities. So yeah, it's an important business sector to us. Yeah, which kind of different kind of customers do we work with? Disney for ad insertion service to localize the content in the Benelux. That's what we do, for example, for National Geographic, the Disney Junior channels, and the Animal Planet, and those kind of channels from the Discovery brand. We work for BBC Studio exclusively, so we deliver direct all the BBC First channels to the customers, like the operators in the Benelux. 22 operators, so it's on the sheet itself, so now I know it for sure. Yeah, and Excite is one of those brands, music TV station. We even do for them the whole delivery and 4K, even 4K playout solutions. And you see a lot of operators as well, where they deliver the channel store solution, so delivering some channels or the whole channel bunch of to them, so they can offer to the end user. The RTL group for the commercial planning, we have a commercial planning division where we do the planning and scheduling of breaks for example, Ziggo Sport, Discovery, E Entertainment, that kind of beautiful channels. Yeah, Benji, Animal Shine, with regards to the already mentioned example of Big Brother. We also work for Benji in other countries throughout Europe and mostly out of the other countries abroad. And recently we also launched the Prime Video and iTunes to our services, so we can also offer VOD services to them. Yeah, some USPs. Yeah, a lot of USPs. It was very difficult to think about ourselves what are your USPs, but I think we're a really independent company. We don't have other investors. We are a privately owned company, deliver the whole end-to-end services. We're serving many sectors, as mentioned. We are really specialized in localization, a lot of skill sets, technical skill sets available in our group of companies. We are innovative and we develop, we have an in-house development department, or we integrate with existing technologies. Very loyal customer base. We already exist for more than 20 years, and I think we've earned everything what we have done so far by ourselves. We are really efficient, effective, because we are a really small company. We are not that big as Eurofiber, for example, but yeah, we have more than 50 FTE in our group of companies. It's not a lot for every kind of service you have seen so far, but we're really proud of those results we have so far. We are flexible and dynamic, and I think that's something what I think there's also available at DCspine, open culture and flexible, being flexible. I think that's one of the most important things we have together. And the last but not least one, to make the bridge to the distribution part of our presentation, of course, this DCspine, we have an international footprint in more than 34 countries.
So I would like to ask you a question, Marvin. I think it's just really impressive what Media Choice can offer to customers.
Yeah.
So what is important to Media Choice to compete to those bigger providers? What do you really need to have to be successful compared to them?
Being very flexible, because you need to be faster than the rest. We don't have really a big hierarchy. We are really responsive on everybody. If somebody would like to have a quote, somebody want to have a solution, we don't wait until the quote and the legal stuff has been done. We really are going into detail. We have a very trustful relationship with our customers mostly. So we are really pragmatic. So I think we are flexible, pretty fast, and we have a lot of high-end expertise in localization, for example, and some other specific services we offer. So that's why I think we are pretty efficient and really effective. So the most important thing, I think, nowadays is being flexible and dynamic and give the customers freedom of choice. Because sometimes people want to have an end-to-end solution, and sometimes they only want to have just one module, one part of the service. So it needs to be flexible.
Yeah. So you're really a challenger in your field compared to those big global providers, and you are able to make them difficult in these local markets. Yeah. Being more smart, being more agile and dynamic, and with quicker response times.
Yeah, exactly. And then also we work with a lot of partners internationally, because they know their market better than we can do, because we do everything from the Netherlands to Benelux itself. And so sometimes it's difficult to communicate with different cultures internationally. So therefore we work with different partners internationally, and that works perfectly, because then they know the market. So it's all about training, give them the expertise on those specific conditions, of course. But yeah, that's how we work, and that's why I think we are pretty fast, and we try to localize our services.
Yeah, that's very nice. And I also recognize that in our business relationship, but also a very knowledgeful approach to business. So
yeah,
you really look into the details to make it work perfectly, and not take it as it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what you need to do. Together, you need to build beautiful stuff. By the way, I think we see the sheet of the indeed the distribution part. This is all the global overview of our delivery network. We do IP delivery, mostly known for public internet transport. We have fiber connectivity in a lot of data centers, so you see there's those countries where we are. And the green one is also the satellite from the Netherlands. We have satellite reception stations, but also in Austria for uplink of satellite. Of course, satellite is still available in a lot of countries like Africa, Asia, some territories. There's still need of satellite, but fiber connectivity, you see a lot of countries where we are located. That's why we already do a lot of services. I don't know the numbers exactly, but hundreds of services we distribute out via different methods. Yeah. If you look into the European market, so yeah, that's really important to us as well. We have a lot of direct connections with operators, aggregators, platform operators, etc. So there's more focused on the European market. So yeah, that's the overview over here. I think the most important one, of course, is the Benelux itself, to make the bridge more to the DCspine Eurofiber and the Eurofiber, and hopefully there's more future in the European market, but let's talk about that later. So you see our overview of our private broadcast network, because yeah, hopefully people do understand in my story that we deliver a lot of broadcast services. So it's really important to us to deliver on time, fast, needs to be reliable, to have a reliable network. So the whole network has been built redundant. They're using different network providers to be redundant on provider itself. Of course, different locations, so geo redundant, as you can see in the Benelux over here. So yeah, what's important is the red one, and the red one is also our emergency disaster recovery emergency line. This is a ring between our most important data centers. We are located in Amsterdam, for example, and the Media Gateway in Hilversum. That's important, where the most of the operators and the content owners and the channels are. And yeah, because our head office is for the media services is in Rotterdam, The Hague area. Yeah, there should be a location there. So the ring is important. But also in Belgium we have more presence. That's where we work together. So let's focus on later on those cases. But yeah, in Belgium we also are available in Vilvoorde and Media Laan, for example, and Interaction Brussels. So that's important. And those connections from other Western European countries, from London and Frankfurt and also Paris. Yeah, those are really connected to or Amsterdam or the Benelux market in Belgium. So yeah, you see those locations over here. This the most important network for us throughout the Benelux to provide and deliver hundreds of services to operators.
So it's a very nice picture. It is also a sort of perfect picture of what we deliver to customers, because you see that core ring where we talked about a lot, and that means everything to your company, because everything is built on that ring. So yeah. I see that there's double connections, but then also emergency connections. So there's no way that may fail.
That should not be. Yeah, that should not be the case exactly. But yeah, it's really important to us to invest in our network. In a couple of years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago, we already were located in those more important locations in Amsterdam or Rappi, Ericsson, Hilversum territory, and Rotterdam, The Hague. But later on, we invested a lot in our network because we had more customers from operators itself. They want to acquire signals directly via us, and packages of TV channels and radio stations. Yeah, and then in the broadcast industry, is really important again to have a very reliable network. So the service levels should be very high. So that's why our requirements to build this network is pretty high level, which we made. Yeah.
So I can imagine it is a challenge for you as a smaller company and a barrier to establish that big network with all the quality requirements that you have.
Yeah.
And can you tell a bit more how you look at different fiber options? Because you said fiber,
yeah.
But it's actually different type of fiber services that you then use, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Maybe we should go to the next slide and where you see the requirements, and it's more same kind of topic. Because yeah, before we built the network or extended our network, we made some points, requirement list, what's important to us, to select a very good network provider. What we do is again broadcast services, so it should be live, it should be reliable, etc. So UDP multicast is already a really important protocol, of course, because you're broadcasting the signal. And what's important to us is to have constant latency, because latency is that's, we know about the European Championship right now. If there's some latency there, everybody is shouting and they are frustrated if the neighbors are yelling, "Yay! The Netherlands is scoring." Yeah, sorry about we're from the Netherlands itself. So, but okay.
We do less than the Belgian ones, so we're the underdog now.
Yeah, that's completely true. But yeah, if everybody is yelling, we scored, and the neighbors are yelling, and 10 seconds later or 30 seconds later. So yeah, of course, the constant latency is important to us. It should be low latency, and that's really important. Just like having no jitter in the network itself, in the signals, low jitter, no low jitter. And what's important to us to select a good network provider is that we are not really the company that have very big high bandwidths. Of course they're high by bandwidth, but because of multicast itself, you broadcast and you do multicast, which sometimes you only have need some extra connections with low bandwidth. That's why it's important to find a network provider at that moment of time that could offer at a great price low bandwidth options. Because sometimes, for example, with the Big Brother case, we need from the Amsterdam TV production house, we need to transport that signal to Belgium or to the other locations. It's only a few channels real time, and of course we have an existing network, but from the studio itself you need a connection, and in the end you need to deliver to the operators, and sometimes not a lot of bandwidth. So that's what also important to us.
So it's a combination of some connections that really ask a high bandwidth, and some then are additions to the core network that have smaller bandwidth. So you need the flexibility to tune, and then are not stuck with huge costs.
Exactly. Sometimes it's only only needed for the event or for a specific TV production, or sometimes it's only for a few months or a few weeks, and then the most of our core network is of course permanent. But that's very important. And the other point is the scalable, you need the scalable bandwidth and easy rollout. It's important to us. You need to be fast and flexible. And the other requirements as well, like the quick response of a network provider. You have very well support, the easy to use portal for your management. You need to be flexible there as well. If there are any issues, want to change something, that's important. We have different experiences with the other network providers, so that's why I think it's important to mention. For us, no nonsense, open culture, not a business culture going via a hierarchy and waiting weeks for quotes, and everybody is putting a project manager on it and then a product manager, and then that makes it very extensive, the whole project, to roll out your network.
So I really like, going back to that previous slide, to the fact that you differentiate those hard network requirements and the more softer parts or facilitating elements. Because first of all, you would look at those hard elements like low latency, no outage, etc., no jitter, and that is, I think, a basis that needs to be there. So you cannot do different than that.
Yeah.
But I really like that you gave feedback on those softer elements, because that's something that we didn't realize all the time. That we are very approachable, and we have 24/7 service to customers. That we have that open culture and a drive to help the customer every time again. And that's what I feel in my team. But
Yeah.
I didn't have that realization that the customer really is aware of that. So we are working really hard, but sometimes you get pity reactions of customers. Yeah. But in the end, it's felt, and that's for us really appreciated and good to know, and we will remain that.
Yeah, actually, it's really important to do so. You see again the picture, and by the way, I think we are on the screen with the one of those scenarios we worked together with the DCspine, and in the end, we had.
I think, by the way, I'm looking at the time. So we need to speed up a bit, but I think this gets really interesting. So I would really focus on this one.
Yeah, I think it's an important one. We had an issue in 2019, so it's a big one for us. That's why we been challenged afterwards to change that with our network providers. We had a major network failure at the main network service provider in the ring itself: Amsterdam, Media Gateway, Hilversum, and Rotterdam, The Hague. There was a link flap on the network itself issue because of, by the way, a fiber cut in the beginning of the day. Of course, that can happen. But in our network provider, they made a fault when they tried to go to the backup routes later on, and then there was a link flap network issue, an MPLS network issue, by the way. Some hardware and configurations needs to be different, and that's why it had an issue at the moment of time. The network link was active at that moment of time, but the network traffic was not possible between the data centers. It's a really big issue because it affected a lot of main and backup services at the moment of time in our private broadcast network. So that you can imagine that's a lot of services that were affected. We had a bit of luck. It was late in the evening and comes into the night. But at the moment of time, we needed to have a solution. Even though, by the way, that the network provider promised that we had a fiber path, redundant, etc., but also the hardware and the other stuff, and that was not really the case in the end. So that's why we learned also, if you start with a network provider, also give the diagram, the technical diagram, everything, how everything is going to the landscape itself. The whole architecture needs to be there, and it's a lesson for us to understand because it affected a lot of services. And at that moment of time, we luckily we already had a Eurofiber DCspine test setup in place for a few weeks, I believe 6 weeks already, been testing on the network. It was the first time that we worked with DCspine, which we deployed that moment in cooperation with your team and everybody on my team, and everybody was working crazy to set up from that moment of time the whole ring, because we already had only one connection was available at that moment of time, not 3 connections between the data centers. So within a few hours, we were able and capable to set up and build up the whole network from the ground up. It was crazy, but everybody worked pretty hard in our team, and within a few hours we were up and running. But not only with a test scenario with a few hundred megabits or so, no, gigabits, a lot of gigabits running over the network. So there was we were a bit, okay, please, let it work. It was pretty crazy. It was our emergency scenario, disaster scenario, what we were working on, but it was not really in place at that moment. So that moment was really important to us. So from that moment on, I felt that this could be a very good relationship, because from that moment on, I didn't have a lot of things about quotes or a product manager, project manager. Okay, everybody on the team was on it, and we did it together. So that was really important to us, and I'm really thankful for that, because that's what you need in a relationship.
Yeah, so it's amazing, and I really get such a good feeling about this feedback because we were able to help out. And I think it was also a nice moment for myself when you told me about that initial hesitance, and I really imagine that, and that's something that I got back from different customers, that most of the time you don't want to change to anything new, because it's always a sort of risk.
Of course, yeah.
And you need to find out if that is the right solution for you. But yeah, you didn't have a choice at this time, and then we were able to do it perfectly well at the spot.
Yeah,
That's really nice. And yeah, it was not the first time for us, and yeah, that's something that we also always try to explain to new customers, but it's really hard to explain how that works and that they can trust on us, because trust that comes with time, and and that is hard to bring over the table on a short term.
Yeah, of course, you need to experience it. That's really important for us. Again, it's important as from broadcasters and from broadcasting perspective. Again, it needs to be reliable, and that no low jitter, and it's really multicast traffic. So yeah, it's a different story for a lot of other people, customers who are working with small bandwidth or data, only transporting data. Of course, video is also data, but it's a different story there. If there are drops from packages over there, you see it in the screen. Directly you see it in the screen visually. So multicast traffic, broadcast is a really different story. That's why we hesitated at that moment of time, but now we don't do it anymore. So yeah, it's a really important step we made. Yeah.
Very nice. So I have a look at the moderators as well. So if are there any questions of people watching? Might be interesting to help on that now before we go over to the presentation. So we get some questions here. So are the offered speech bandwidth offered on DCspine guaranteed? So that's a good question. Those speeds are guaranteed. So we have a really high bandwidth. So a really high bandwidth network, and we can guarantee the network speeds that we offer. And that's also really important to customers of us. So to mention these media services, but also people that are migrating data and are calculating time for that migration. If they need a 10G connection or a 1G connection, they need to have that guaranteed bandwidth. So we do have that. So also a question about the further expansion plans of DCspine in the countries and Belgium. Yeah, so I will briefly touch on a bit. So Belgium, we have a active expansion plan there. So we will connect to between 10 and 20 data centers in Belgium over the coming period. We are currently in the final selection phase of the data center. So we're having the conversation with the data centers at this moment to find out the best design of the network, also to find out the demand of the data centers to have us in. And we can now explain what we can offer to the data center. So this is an important phase, but we are sure that we have that strong nationwide network next year. If you look to expansion, it's also important to mention that there is a direct interconnection between the Eurofiber Ethernet network connecting a lot of office, media, healthcare, finance locations, and the DCspine network. And that's one thing that we implemented as well with Media Choice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is to they needed to have a connection on short term, always short term with you.
Yes, broadcasting.
On short term for broadcasting purposes in the Vilvoorde media location. Yeah. And we were able to extend the DCspine network to that location with the local tail of Eurofiber, and that was nice because we don't need to stuck to the DCspine network, but we were able to flexibly extend that media location towards interconnection hub in Brussels, and then to one of the
Antwerp.
locations, or
Via Antwerp.
via Antwerp,
Yeah.
and then to Amsterdam. But there was complete flexibility if you would have it in Amsterdam,
Yeah.
in Hilversum, or somewhere else, Rotterdam. We were able to do that. So
Yeah. It really helped us as well. So yeah, the hybrid solutions also could be very helpful. So yeah, I think that's a good scenario as well for people to understand.
Yeah. I'm not sure if there are any questions, and what's the timing of the Q&A. I think we go to the end of the webinar, but yeah, are there any remarks or things that you would like to highlight?
Yeah, no, I think, by the way, indeed, if you have some technical questions about how we've done so far, implemented DCspine Eurofiber implementations, please contact my colleagues, because I'm not a technical guy. I only know some more general part of it. My colleague Twan is responsible for our network operations team, by the way. Yeah, what it could be of interest for us as well to understand, indeed, you're mentioning the Benelux market. What are the ideas on the European market? Because yeah, for media as well, you saw the drawing.
Yeah.
It could be interesting for us as well to see if there are in the future plans to go abroad and the other countries as well. Because I saw you mention something about Frankfurt in one of those slides before.
Yeah.
Daniel did. But yeah, can you tell more about it, or still on?
No, there's more to tell about it. So we are having a strategy that had the ambition, and that's already, I think, 3 years ago, to be present in 5 countries in 5 years' time. So we only have a few years left.
Yeah.
But we already have a nationwide network in France, and a very specific ambition to have networks in all the big cities. And as we have that fiber footprint, we are also expanding DCspine on that fiber footprint.
Yeah.
So France was the 3rd country, so to say. I think we're looking at the big countries and significant footprints.
Yeah.
Also, Germany is a focus country. So then we already are able to cover the large interconnection hubs. So we already have expanded to Frankfurt.
Yeah.
We are in Lille in France, and Paris is a short way from there. So
yeah, it's true.
I think we are quite sure that we will be there not far from now.
Yeah.
London is not yet marked in that timing, but yeah, that's an important hub as well. So
yeah, we know.
it makes sense. And then you had some locations further down in Europe, like Madrid.
Yeah.
It's not a step that we cannot take. So
yeah.
We are ambitious. We are very liking the fact that we got challenged by companies like you to provide that stable network for media traffic, because it is a challenge, as every packet needs to be transported. You cannot fill in any packet because you don't have a chance to do it again, because it broadcasted live most of the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's very important, and saying that it's very important to have a guaranteed quality and reliability below the network. So we will only expand if we can guarantee reliability on the existing footprint, but also on new footprints. So having that quality in place is more important than expanding, but expansion is also part of our plans.
Yeah, reliability, that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, we will conclude now. So we will wrap up by a few statements that are important towards all of our customers. First of all, we make it easy for you. That's very important, because connectivity can be complex. We know everybody likes it easy. People don't want to spend too much time, but also need to drill down through complexity. So that's for us important to make it easy. Being a close partner, having all that digital a way of communication is very important that makes it easy, but being that close partner with a personal touch is also very important to us, and will be really important towards the future. And last of all, making you future-proof is also very important. So DCspine has a future-proof network, but also the identity of our company, Eurofiber, and the DCspine team. That future-proof is very important because we cannot stay as it is right now. So we will grow with our customers to new locations, finding new solutions to make it easier. That remains our focus. And then wrapping up, for everybody that doesn't have an account yet, find out on our portal.dcspine.nl. You can have a look yourself. Very easy to register. You can find the way to order services. You can find documentation, service level agreements, pricing, and if you have any questions after that, our teams will help you. So not only my team, but also the team of indirect sales of Eurofiber in Belgium and direct sales in Belgium, with, for example, Daniel de Bont and Jan Goossens heading those teams with all of their account managers. They are available to help you out on this. And I think to any media customers, if they need to have any questions specifically on broadcasting protocols and how that's transported through the network, go to Marvin.
I'm available.
If there's anyone who's interested in the service of Media Choice itself, of course, go to Marvin. And if you don't have the way yet, you can also speak to us, and we will provide details of Marvin and his team.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for having us here.
Yeah, very interesting to do so. Yeah.
And let's continue with our challenging way of our industries. You compared to the big media companies, and we to the incumbents. So we're sure that we will grow in that world.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all.
Thank you very much.